Hi everyone, Miss Shames here, and I'm going to lead you through close reading for Thursday, March 26th. We're reading Road to Red Planet. Please have out the text either in your remote learning packet or you can find it on Google Classroom. All right, let's get started. So first thing I want to do is I want to orient the text. I want to read the first paragraph, the last paragraph. I want to think about the genre, come up with the lenses, and a prediction. So I can see that this is an article, Road to Red Planet, and just looking at it, it looks informational to me. It looks nonfiction. So I'm going to set up my nonfiction lenses. So I'm going to be thinking about the main idea and details, the author's point of view, the text structure, the text features, part to part, and part to whole. All right, so let me read. Road to the Red Planet. Well, I do know that there are a few red planets like Mars. I think Jupiter might be red, by Tyrus Kukovic. It takes me 17 hours and 15 different airplanes to get from New York City to the spot on Earth that's most similar to the planet Mars. I finally arrive on Devon Island in Canada. It's about 900 miles from the North Pole. Now I have some idea of what it's like to be on the red planet. So I'm thinking that they went to this place on Earth called Devon Island in Canada, but for some reason it's giving them an idea of what it's like to be on Mars. Let's keep reading to find out. NASA officials have said that they hope to put astronauts on the red planet by 2030. Until then, the scientists I've met at Houghton Crater are working to make sure that humans will be ready for such an adventure. So I'm thinking that maybe they go to this place because it's similar to Mars, and they're like learning more about Mars at that place on Earth to help them get ready for a possible trip to Mars. That's what I think this text will be about. So I put about scientists getting ready for human travel to Mars. They are using this place on Earth that's similar to Mars to study and prepare. Let's keep reading. Now I'm going to read start to finish. Road to the Red Planet. It takes me 17 hours and 5 different airplanes to get from New York City to the spot on Earth that's most similar to the planet Mars. I finally arrive on Devon Island in Canada. It is about 900 miles from the North Pole. Now I have some idea of what it's like to be on the red planet. Humans are many years away from being ready to go to Mars, but some scientists are already getting ready for the trip. Every summer, 25 to 30 experts gather on Devon Island. They are part of the Houghton Mars Project. Through this project, the scientists do research to prepare for future space exploration. So this kind of confirms my prediction that scientists are going to this place on Earth that's really similar to Mars, and they're studying there, and it's helping them learn more about Mars so that maybe they could go there one day. Much like Mars. So I think this section is going to be telling me about how this place, Devon Island, is similar to Mars. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, scientist Pascal Lee started the project in 1997. He's come to the island every summer since then. Lee tells me that he chose Devon Island partly because it has an impact crater. That is a large hole in the ground caused by a meteorite. The surface of Mars is filled with such craters. With its frigid desert environment, Devon Island's Houghton Crater comes closest to the craters on Mars. However, Devon Island isn't exactly like Mars. For example, on Mars, temperatures can drop to as low as negative 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 4 times as cold as it ever gets on the island. But like Mars, no one lives on Devon Island. So what I think the main idea of the part I've read so far is that scientists congregate at Devon Island each summer because it's similar to Mars, and this is helping them learn about Mars. And it's similar to Mars, but it's not exactly the same. So I said NASA scientists who are part of the Houghton Mars Project go to Devon Island every summer to prepare for an eventual trip to Mars. Devon Island is similar to Mars, but not exactly like it. Let's keep reading. For most of the year, the island's terrain is covered in snow. That means people can work there only during the summer months when the average temperature is about negative 34 degrees Fahrenheit. In fact, the island gets 24 hours of sunlight most days during the summer. At Houghton Crater, I watched the scientists perform experiments to practice working at Mars-like environment. Some wear spacesuits as they walk across the terrain. Others test how well their robot rovers collect rocks and soil samples. The scientists even set up a greenhouse. This is to see how plants might grow under mostly lifeless conditions. We're giving ourselves tasks that are very similar to what humans on Mars would have to do, Lee tells me. So in this section, it sounds like they're going there and they're like practicing the things that they would have to do on Mars. No help from outside. So I'm using this subheading to make a prediction. So it sounds like this section is going to talk about how the scientists aren't getting help from outside. I wonder why they're not getting help. The scientists must also be able to get by without any help or additional supplies from the outside world. That is just as it would be if they were on Mars. For much of the time, cell phone and internet service is very limited on Devon Island. But this actually helps the scientists. How? It lets them figure out what they would need to make human exploration of Mars successful and safe. So I'm thinking that like this is actually helpful to them not having any outside help, because on Mars in a real exploration they wouldn't be able to receive outside help from people on Earth. So that's my jot. This is what the earliest pioneers must have experienced when they started building a town, says Lee. So I can see here like the author is comparing this to the pioneers who had to build the first town. So this is kind of like the author's craft move. A future on Mars. So I'm thinking this section is teaching us about preparing for the future explorations to Mars. Scientists have been studying Mars for decades. Recent robot missions there found possible signs of frozen water. This suggests that life may have once existed on Mars. It might even exist there now. Experts say that such life would be tiny, probably no bigger than a single cell. Human exploration of Mars could help provide answers about whether life was ever there. NASA officials have said that they hope to put astronauts on the red planet by 2030. Until then, the scientists I've met at Houghton Crater are working to make sure that humans will be ready for such an adventure. So I'm thinking this section is like they're trying to answer the question of has there been life on Mars? Is there still life on Mars? And they're trying to get ready for maybe humans going to Mars to answer this question and other questions. So I said human scientists are trying to solve the mystery of whether there's life on Mars. They hope to answer this and other questions with future explorations on the planet. So I want you guys to come up with your own main idea of the passage. I don't want to tell it to you, so I want you to come up with your own main idea, either jot it down or write it in your Google Classroom. Also go ahead and complete the multiple choice that goes with this section. Happy Thursday, everybody!